about One Life.
One Life. Yeah, this is a biopic of a man called Nicholas Winton, who, in 1938, he was he was on a mission to Czechoslovakia, and it was just after um, Hitler's Nazi National Socialist Party had invaded one part of Czechoslovakia, the Sudetenland, and he goes to Prague basically to as part of his work. And when he's there, he sees the plight of some of the refugees. And as he has been shown around some of the refugee areas, he is particularly struck by the plight of unaccompanied children. And even some of the ones, and even those children who have parents, the fact that these young children are in a desperate situation. And he goes back to Britain and he's determined that he can do what he can. And so he basically, him and his family organize what is called the Kinder Transports, whereby they organize foster care, they pay a fee, they guarantee, and they organize the papers to get these children out of these desperate situations. And in a period of before the war started, so from 1937, I think it was, to 1938, so only over 2 years, he organized something like 8 Kinder Transport trains and successfully managed to save the lives of over 600 children by finding them a spot. Each child was found, he found a sponsor for them, he paid the fee for them, and he organized foster care. And yeah, he recorded every single one of these children. And the film is a story of how this happened, how he came to do these Kinder Transports, and also in his old age, he wants to find a depository for his scrapbook that he kept, recording the lives of these children and the story of the Kinder Transports. And he happens to give it to I quite forget her name, but
Esther
Mrs.
Ranson.
Maxwell. It ends up with Esther Ranson, but he gives it to Robert Maxwell's wife. She's a French journalist and historian. He gives it to her. He's introduced to her, and she says this is actually a massive story. And then she, through her media contacts, it ends up on the desk of That's Life. And
Hmm.
Mr. Winton attends, and they happen to have found one of his Kinder Transport children, and he's like reunited with them. And then, as the story unfolds, basically, um, he gets to meet more of the children that he saved, and
Be-
it
sorry,
became a
because
big story at the time.
yeah, because I wasn't in the UK at the time, but even though it's just part of the cultural sort of like awareness, cultural lexicon, the bit where That's Life, which was a TV show that was hosted by Esther Ranson in the was it
Yes,
the 80s or
it
the 70s?
70s and early 80s. But
Yeah.
yes, it was had they did comic stories, they did silly things, they had like misshapen vegetables that looked like a man smoking a cigar. They had that sort of thing. They mixed comedy, but they also had this real pathos. So they did real deep stories. And what attracted me to this story, this for this film this week, was there's a theme running through my films I've seen this week, was how as a television program has real impact in the real world.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
something that was might have started off as entertainment actually resonated, and the fact that his story was known, the people started contacting this life to say, actually, I was on one of the Kinder Transports too.
Yeah.
And they have this. There's a very famous episode of That's Life where he is sat in the front of the audience, and Esther Ranson says, "Can anyone who has was affected by the Kinder Transports please stand up?" And the entire studio stands up, and he looks around and he sees basically these hundreds of people who wouldn't be there if he hadn't done his small thing. And he regards it to be like he's like a very small part. He did what he could, but he always felt that it was never quite enough. But and they're saying that that your that one life that you saved, you also saved her children, her grandchildren, her future.
Yeah.
And but for everyone that you didn't save, that the impact on those that you did was immense. And
Yeah.
he was after this event, so that it drew the attention of the media, it drew the attention of public life, and he was actually knighted quite late in life, but he was actually knighted for his work, and he became obviously Sir Nicholas Winton, and he lived to be the age of 106. So he
Oh
had this
wow.
long life, but it was a life that had impact. So one life, as in the name of the film, can make a real impact, as we'll
Yeah.
see in my other film that I review later. But no, it was played by young Nicholas Winton was played by Johnny Flynn, and older Nicholas Winton was played by Sir Anthony Hopkins. So yeah, great, a good cast. Helena Bonham Carter plays young Johnny Flynn's mum,
Mm.
and there's other sort of actors and actresses who pop up, but they're the principal ones that everyone would recognise. But no, so no, it's very well done. I enjoyed it. Some moments it felt a little bit quiet. It took a little bit to get into because it felt a little bit slow burn. But I really thought it was well done. It's a story that's obviously worth telling. And that this one life, you can celebrate one life and the things they do, acknowledge their achievements, which
Yeah.
is what people do for Sir Nicholas Winton. And so, yeah, I think it's certainly worth checking out. So quite a somber film in places, but it has that a good heart to it. But yeah, it wasn't a perfect film, but I thoroughly enjoyed it, and my friends enjoyed it as well when we went together. So I would give it definitely a strong three. I don't think it's quite a four for me, even though the story is a four, absolutely. But I think for the film, the execution, the tone, to me, it was a solid film, but it was a three.
Yeah, yeah. The thing is, I can tell that either A, I'm getting older, or B, that I'm a dad now. But even you're just talking about the moment when all the kids stand up around him, and I'm already kind of welling up. But I'm just sitting there going, oh my god, yeah, no, never mind, let's move on. That's no, that does sound I mean, the story, I agree, does sound absolutely amazing. And the fact that I've never actually seen the moment, but I've heard about it, and people just keep talking about it and saying that
Yeah,
was one of the, like, I think it keeps making lists on the top 10 TV moments of the decade or something, or the
yeah.
century or something like that. And also, yeah, the power of TV. So thank you very much for that, Sharon. That is 3 stars for One Life. And now